Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tonight we are going to be spending a wonderful hour with two amazing men and people in general from FNI, the Film Network Ireland. And they've come to join us to talk about what they do, to talk about collaboration, creativity, and how to become a part of what they're about as well. So we first introduce you to the beautiful Rachel Sarsfield-Ryan, who is our SU Vice President. And our hearts go out tonight to Grace, who we miss. But Rachel's here for today, so we'll try to dry our tears and move on. So over to you, Rachel.
Yeah. Hi guys. I'd just like to introduce you both to Paul Butler-Lennox and Ray Mongie. Paul is an actor, director, producer, busy voiceover artist, coach, and educational facilitator from Dublin. And he's the co-founder, along with Ray, of Film Network Ireland in Kino, Dublin. Paul hosts FNI live events and hosts and produces FNI Rap Chat, Ireland's film and TV industry podcast. He's also currently developing a light entertainment sports show with Ken Doherty and Reggie Carrigan with Boyle Sports. And he's also developing a number of factual and dramatic projects for film and TV in 2021. Ray is a VFX director, animation professional, and entrepreneur from Dublin, and he currently runs Optivid.com and the production company Glue. He co-founded FNI with Paul back in 2010, and he co-hosts the business edition of FNI podcast, FNI Build, and regularly lectures in various technical disciplines across third-level institutions across the country. As always, if there's a question mark icon in the corner, and if you have any questions throughout the session for our panel, please send us to us there, and I'll be keeping an eye on it, and I'll pass them along to our panelists. So over to you guys.
Thanks very much, Rachel. So, guys, how are you doing tonight? Good. We had a bit of behind-the-scenes stress, but it's okay now, which is really great. And that's what I love about this business, which is show.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it wouldn't be film and TV without some technical issues beforehand. Really good. I mean, it's a very difficult time for everybody, so we're not unlike anybody else in our anxieties and boredom and all of the other wonderful things that come with this unprecedented stuff that's happening at the moment. I love what Ray did with his background. How did you blur everything out around the back?
I don't know. Technical genius. What can I say, Paul?
Thanks so much for asking us on. We were really excited to do this. I'm a big fan of IEDT's work over the years. I've worked with many of your previous students and alumni, and you do some incredible work out there, and your facilities are incredible. So congratulations with everything over the last couple of years. Things have really jumped up.
You're very kind. Thank you. Thank you. So tell us about FNI, Film Network Ireland. What is the vision? What is it that you guys do? You have so many different aspects to it. So if we could tease that out, I'll maybe start with Ray on that one, and then we can.
It's first and foremost a community-based film and television network, I guess, if you want to call it that, which, as you mentioned, we do have a lot of different elements that make up the whole, but the main aim is to help the community, specifically in Ireland, for film and TV, audio, animation, production. So we've got the everything's switched off, everybody's going to sleep there. We've got the main community on our social network. We've got a massive, maybe 20,000 followers overall. We've got the podcast FNI Rap Chat, which is into its 130 something episode at the minute. We've run regular networking events across the country, going to different film festivals, recording podcasts there as well, running different events in conjunction with different companies as well. And over the last year, we've basically taken that whole thing and all the workshops and courses and everything that we were doing and brought it all online to help people. Over the last year, it's been, as Paul said there, it's been unprecedented. It's been very difficult for everybody, but we've hopefully helped a lot of people learn more by coming to our classes and that. And we've recently got SSI funding, which we'll go over in a bit more detail later, I'm sure, which has been incredibly helpful. So that's helped us get some really high-profile people in to teach classes. and we run regular networking events, which is similar to this, where you get to chat to other professionals in the industry and, you know, network, meet new people, collaborate in some way, and just keep away the boredom over the last year.
Yeah, great. Do you want to add anything on that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, we've just been incredibly lucky with the kindness of some really, really brilliant film and TV people who really kind of believe and get what we're trying to do. We see ourselves very much as an organization to bridge gaps between people coming out of third level education or people with little experience, and kind of bring everybody together and show that it's not a clique, you know. It's hard work, you know. There's these kind of there's this perception that it's a club and, you know, it's an invite only scenario, and it really isn't like that. Film and TV, anybody who's worked for a consistent period of time will tell you that, you know, they've gotten where they've gotten to with a lot of hard work and really good relationships. And once you get over, you know, things like social anxiety and other things that are involved in networking is a key part of career progression, you know. And, you know, 60% of everything is turning up in life, you know, and you really have to go to these things to meet people, you know. And what we've learned, or what I've learned rather, which has been a great eye-opener for me being a co-host of the podcast, is that everybody that I've interviewed, you know, in over 100 podcasts or so, we've had other guests and stuff that I haven't interviewed, but in the experiences I've had chatting to people who are working to a certain standard, they all suffer the same fears, irrational fears. They've all had the same rejections. I mean, I had somebody on a podcast, you know, about a year ago, and they had a film out that week, and they just got rejected for funding that morning. And then they had to go and do a podcast and talk about it. Like, it's sizable amount of money rejected for. You know, that's the reality of what's happening. It just, the same stuff is happening to people. They're dealing with the same life issues, and the same professional snakes and ladders that we're dealing with, you know, at whatever level you are, whether you're a college student or you're onto your third or fourth feature or whatever you're working on, you know.
It's interesting, actually, because I think that really speaks to the resilience of people that last in this industry. And not only this industry, because I think it's competitive all in every industry, but one of the things I love about, well, the arts in general and obviously filmmaking is you have such committed people that are passionate about what they're doing, and that really means a lot. But then those knockbacks, it's tough not to take that personally. And actually, we had Margie Warrell was on with us a couple months ago, and she was talking, which I thought was a great takeaway. She said that she had written a book. It was the first time she'd ever written a book, and she was looking for people to endorse it. And she set herself a task to get 50 rejections. I thought, what a great way
that
of looking
would
at
be difficult.
Yeah. So it was sort of like to say, and I mean, I think that's something for filmmakers and for anyone in the arts or anybody, you know, to kind of say, okay, you are putting your neck on the line. You are going out there. You are, you know, kind of saying, here is my heart, you know, be gentle. But the world isn't that gentle sometimes. But if you kind of can say, okay, but I've got a lot of that heart. So, you know, I can take 50 rejections. And she got to 46 before someone, and she, you know, and she was delighted. She's like, I didn't reach that goal, but I was glad I didn't, you know. So it's when you mentioned that, I was just kind of thinking, what is it that builds resilience in us as creative people, as artists, and particularly in that transitional sort of liminal space from college, where it's very structured, into now you are your own boss in a lot of ways, you know, and you are absolutely navigating that ship.
It's deep water, you know, when you finish up, and you know, you may have some ideas leaving college about what it is that you want to do, and then life kind of leads you different directions. I think what we, you know, the modus operandi with us is to show people that they can try out different things in a professional environment through some of the classes and the courses, and dip their toe in different water, different pools of water, to explore different ways of working, because you know, everybody wants to be a director, everyone wants to be a screenwriter, everybody wants to be an actor, whatever it may be. And it's to show people that it's the professional minded people, the empathetic people that are not afraid to try different things and have an open mind, that have longevity and usually go on and have some sort of substantial career working in the arts in some capacity. And that's what F&I is fundamentally all about, from my perspective, is to show people that if you want to survive in this industry, you need to have a toolbox there with different tools to use.
Mm.
You know, or you're
That's
dead
really
in the
good
water.
advice.
You know.
Absolutely. I think that's excellent advice. And I wanted to talk a little bit about professional journeys, because you both have had really interesting journeys up to now and are continuing them, which, you know, is what life's all about, really, isn't it? Even in pandemic times, we find ways to grow. I was particularly struck, and I hope you don't mind, Ray, could we start with you kind of talking about your professional journey? Because we had a brief meeting before this, just to kind of, you know, meet, because I hadn't met you lovely people before. I'm so glad I have. But I was very struck by both of your stories, but particularly, I think, Ray, you've bounced around and lived in all over the world, and just really took that. You know, it's hard to do. You know, you finish I'll let you tell your story, but tell your story,
Yeah.
Ray.
I think
Ray's in Timbuktu tonight. He's actually joining us live and direct from Timbuktu.
yeah, I'm in a bunker.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people say a lot of things are difficult to do, but what I generally do is, if you think if something's difficult to do, you just go headstrong into it. You lean into it, you do it, and you know you'll either succeed or not. And generally you'll learn anyway. So you know it's only a bonus. But yeah, about working, I would have story I told you was when I finished college. My tutor put me in touch with a company. So I was doing animation in Clonshadulik, and met with the company, showed them my portfolio, and they said, "Oh, it's great. Can you do X, Y, and Z?" And I said, "Ah, yeah, why not?" Thinking I will learn how to do X, Y, and Z. I'm sure when I go home, and then I'll be able to do it. So yeah, you know, punch above your weight as well, and you'll always figure out a way as you're going. That's what life's about. So yeah, I said I can do the work, but I'm leaving to go to Canada because there's no work here in Ireland at the time, because this is a long time ago. So I had my working visa for Canada, and they said, we don't care, as long as you're doing the work and sending it back, we'll pay you. So I went over to Canada and sat on the beach, did concept art, scanned it, sent it back, got paid. Had the laptop, was doing some 3D work, some animation, some games development stuff. Ended up for about 5 years traveling, living and traveling with the laptop on my back and being paid for it. So it was just a tremendous opportunity to do that and explore the world while being paid for what I like doing.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm sure that there were a lot of lessons from that, but one of the things you said there was interesting, because I think that's a really interesting mindset to kind of say, you know, just do it. Yeah, I suppose that's a bit Nike, but you know, just getting the head down and just go for it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, try again.
If you think too much about something, you'll learn more to be fearful about it. Like, say, for funding applications and that, you might not go ahead with it because you think, oh, it's a lot of work and I don't think I'll get it. Well, if you just do it, chuck it in, and you'll learn how to do whatever you said that you'll do in it afterwards. As you're doing it, you'll always learn from it.
I think
Be
that's excellent
cheeky. I think
advice.
that's my advice.
Yeah. It's funny, actually. Actually, I just recently read a study, and apparently men are more adept at that skill than women. That we tend to rule ourselves out from consideration of going for things, you know, like a funny thing, because we don't have all of the qualifications or whatever. Whereas guys, we kind of say, "I'll learn it." Exactly as you're saying. I think that's such a great mindset. You know,
I did
really do.
hear that actually before, but I think it's not a confidence thing for me. I think it's if I can't do something, then I'll just act like an idiot and look at it from an idiot's point of view, or from a very blank point of view of it, and then figure it out as a brand new thing. I'm not making much sense now. I can relate it back to driving in France.
Make it until you make it, Ray, huh?
Well, kind of like if I thought too much about driving on the wrong side of the road when I got to France, I'd be fearful of it, and I'd probably make mistakes. But I just completely told myself to forget about knowing how to drive in the first place, and then just got on the road and learned it afresh. I'm not making a lot of sense.
I think what you've hit on there is actually, as you said there, that it's not self-confidence, it's actually self-belief. It's like that whatever life throws at you, you're able to, to take it on. And I think that's, that is resilience, really. That is the ability to kind of get out there. And I think it's tough in the arts because, I mean, particularly, and yourself as well as an artist, because you are putting a little piece of your soul out there for people to love or to reject. My background is working with actors, and I'm married to a wonderful actor, and I see that it's when the art is so entrenched in who you are, it's really, you can get really hung up. Now, he's not. He'll just go for everything, like he's great, but as you say, if you overthink something, you start having questions about it, that can actually, sometimes it's just better to throw it in and see where it goes, and then throw it in, and then throw it in, and get those 50 rejections, or 46, to get that thing.
So I was just going to say, maybe that relates back to the study that you were talking about, that maybe women could, in that study, think about things and maybe overthink things, whereas men, and I hope I'm not sounding sexist, for me anyway, I'm a bit stupid, so I just go ahead and do it. It's not thinking about it too much.
I think if I could just jump in a bit, just about Ray. One quality that Ray has that I admire greatly is a discipline. He's an incredible discipline, and I think that's a muscle that when you train that muscle, it never lets you down. A professional discipline is really, really important. You do the work, that's the priority, and you don't get distracted. It's very, very easy to get distracted doing TikTok dances and whatever else you're doing. In what or watching a movie or something that's taking you out of your art form. I mean, if you've like I said, if you've exercised that muscle, and that's the starting point, then it's a really good place to be. And then Ray in particular always finds himself in a position of excellence, because he's very well versed in being very, very disciplined and very professional. And I think that's really important, and that's why Ray has worked consistently over the years.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That professional discipline is what everybody needs to bring into it. I love the wink. That was cute.
I think that's something that reminds me of something from, I'm an IAGT applied psychology graduate, and it's just reminding me so much of the concept of bounce back ability. Is a term that one of my lecturers coined, but and having that grit within yourself, that it's not just a psychology thing, but for everyone to kind of consider, just to have that grit and to build it up. And if you take a knock, how fast can you bounce back from it? Some people might take a day to bounce back, or an hour, or a month, or however long, but it's just building up your bounce to get back on it, and that one didn't work, but let's go again.
I think it's very important to realize, just from an actor's perspective as well, is that nothing is personal. None of it is personal.
I know.
Nobody cares enough about you to form an opinion a lot of the time.
Well, that's even worse, Paul.
Yeah, good God. I think it's important to realize that you're obligated to do a good job, and it's really important for you whether you're going for an interview for a job, or whether you're going for an audition or whatever else. As I said, there's no conspiracy theory as to ruin an individual's career. Everybody wants to give you a job when you apply for a job, or when you walk into a room. They want to. Even because we're in a position, and I've been in a position before, to hire or to cast, and I want someone to give me a half day, theoretically. And I think if you just put your best foot forward, and I know it's incredibly hard sometimes to be yourself in circumstances of great pressure, and particularly now, where every day is very, very tough for us all. But I mean, if you can retain any sort of semblance of your own personality, and engage with people, in a personal manner, and just be honest. And the best piece of advice I've ever been given was by Joe Dowling, the famous theatre director. And he said to me that even if you're wrong, you're right. And I think that's applicable in a lot of disciplines, insofar as you have to make a decision about stuff. And if you're trusting your judgment on stuff, on any given decision you may make, whether it be going in for a job or an audition or whatever it is, if you make a decision and you stick to it, it's the hemming and hawing, and it's the indecision in that moment that can often mess you up. And if you don't know an answer to a question, the best answer to give is always, I don't know, but I'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And Ray is really good at that. I don't know, but I'll find out, and I'll get a lifetime deal for it.
I think your byline, Ray, was a dedicated nerd. Is that, you put that in one of your things, and I was like, it's funny because you don't, like, I've only met you a couple times, but our self-perception of who we are can really differ from how we're perceived. And when I look at you guys, I see very successful business that's started as a community and become a brand, and so in many ways. And it's like, but then when we look at ourselves, we kind of think, oh, I'm just whatever, I'm a nerd. And I thought that was interesting because I think a lot of our students, it's that sort of imposter syndrome. And I think particularly at the end of fourth year, you're kind of like, all right, I kind of have a better idea of who I am now. I think I do. But what is my usefulness? Like, and I'm going out into the world now and having all those questions. And one of the things you guys touched on there was, practicing your art. And I think it's so important, or finding other ways to express that art, or your creative, authentic self. But I want to talk to you guys about collaboration, because the older I get, the more I realize that we don't make it through the world on our own. There are so many people that help us along the way, and we're fortunate when we meet collaborators that share our vision, that share our purpose. So could we talk a little bit about how you guys met, because this is a case in point of one of those great beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Ray, do you want to take that, or shall I?
No, you go ahead there, yeah.
Okay. Ray, just like anybody else, was like any other director, was looking for people, and he hired me for a job. And we met, and we got on very well. And we noticed that it was quite difficult. What did exist before F&I was and I have to give props to Jason Butler. There was a website called Filmmakers Network, which was an online forum for filmmakers to cast and so on. And they did incredible work. So I think Ray reached out to me maybe on that forum, I think, or through referral. But yeah, he hired me for a job like everybody else would do on the F&I group, or so it kind of happened. The genesis of it is very similar as to what everybody would be experiencing on those online forums where a lot of business tends to get done now. And we just got on like a house on fire. We're very different personalities. Ray's very technically minded. If we were U2, Ray would be the Edge and I would be Bono of the band. And that's a horrible comparison, but I think inaccurate. But Ray is just a gentleman with a lot of integrity, and I gravitated towards that. Authenticity is a huge thing professionally, I think. It's often better to earn the trust and work towards a good relationship with someone, and I think that's what myself and Ray have done over many years now. We've always had a laugh and would enjoy a few pints and all these things, but I mean, and then Ray said, okay, well, how can we help other people? And he was like, well, let's set up a Facebook group and see if we can try and get some people together to bolster collaborations and get some more work and earn some money, because that's what it's about fundamentally. Well, so Ray set up a group and he asked me would I help and kind of invite my friends, and it was very much like lemmings falling off a cliff into creative oblivion. And that's kind of how it happened, and it just grew. But initially we did our first networking event we had in Harold's Cross, in what is now MVP, that pub in Harold's Cross. And we were very excited about it, and we put ourselves out there online, come along, and 6 people turned up to that networking event, and we were 2 of them. So it gives you some sort of idea kind of from that to like our last physical event that we had in the Five Lamps Brewery, and there was, I think, 180 or 170 people turned up to that, and paid to be there. You know, it's not about making money, but what we've learned over the years is that for people to value things, they need to get some sort of, they need to invest in it in some way. So even if it's just like a small donation for something, people tend to take it more seriously and not ignore it or miss it in their calendar if they've paid for it. So the idea of that, and in terms of our classes and stuff over the years of as they've gone on, it's not about making money, it's about generating personality capital with people so they can work with each other, really help each other. I think, I mean, we've had numerous networking events, and it hasn't gone unnoticed in terms of like larger organizations like Screen Skills Ireland and Screen Ireland. I was in with Screen Ireland very early on, and about something else, because I pitch a lot for other projects, and they've been very encouraging, kind of on the periphery for a long time, and they see the need for something like FNI, which kind of picks up the kind of dead space in and around IAVT and Screen Skills and other organizations, and particularly the kind of inter-county funding and film centres and stuff as well. So it kind of brings everybody nicely together. And we've worked in conjunction with film festivals as well. So we're invited down for a lot of those, and we work with their teams to orchestrate networking events and to just help people. You know, literally our job is fundamentally is to get people's heads and put them together, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of the time. Because people don't want to do it, you know, even the most confident people in the world, when they're thrown in, a lot of actors, for example, who you think are the most confident people in the world, you put them in a networking situation where they don't have a character to hide behind, and they just wilt, you know. Why a lot of actors are so weird after the show in the green room bar, because they don't know what people are thinking of them, you know. But very much a case of that. And we've had some brilliant help over the years and some incredible shooters, and the podcast has just been a brilliant linchpin tying everything together.
Let's talk a little bit about Rap Chat. And you guys started that. How long it was? You've done 103 different episodes at this point. That's over about 2 years or 3 years, is it? Or
140. So we've pretty consistently kind of put out one a week every week for 3 years, which is a huge undertaking. We've taken little breaks here and there for a couple of weeks just to take a breather. But again, that was just, number one, I mean, you have to be honest about these things. It's about meeting these people as an individual as well. You want to meet these people. You want to make these connections. It's a networking exercise for myself and Paul Webster. Paul Webster said, FNI needs to have a podcast. Why don't I'd love to do a podcast. You want to do a podcast? Let's do a podcast. So initially, we just set up in what was the old Westland Studios, where you two would have recorded some of their early albums and Enya and stuff. And they, Alwyn that used to work there, was very helpful in terms of giving us a space. So we've been very lucky in that lots of people have helped us out, like really helped us out. And you need that. And mentorship and favors and camaraderie is really important. It's so important to getting, just like, little acorns type scenario, So yeah, it's just grown and grown and grown, and we joined the Head Stuff Podcast Network, which is it's a national network for podcasts, essentially like a radio station but online. And they're incredibly supportive, and they're growing and growing and growing, and they've taken on. They have a huge studio in the city centre now, and they also do classes, and we work with them, and it's very much about partnerships as well. So that's another partnership that we have with Head Stuff Plus, and it's just grown. And then Ray has decided to start his own business-orientated, kind of technically minded show about entrepreneurship in the creative world, and how you get from, how you can grow and build that out and stuff as well, with Stephen Fagan from Studio Model. Yeah. You might want to. You want to say something about that, Ray?
No, well, I was going to actually say just about other people helping us, like the podcast studio and DBS as well. They were incredibly helpful as well. And it's just, collaborating and partnering with other organizations that can help us do what we need to do to help the community, basically. So DBS were incredibly supportive all the time for any real world workshops and courses that we were running, as well as Paul mentioned, podcast studios, head stuff as well. So yeah, just about the other podcast, yeah, myself and Stephen Fagan have started that. There's one episode out there now at the minute, and it deals with, we were speaking to basically a creative freelancer who wanted to organize her projects for her clients. So she built the software to help her and then start selling the software. So it's basically a podcast about how, if you're a creative, how can you make your processes more efficiently to be more profitable and to speed up work and that sort of thing. So generally that's what it's about. So yeah, we're looking forward to episode 2 of that.
Yeah, well, what's it called? Because I'm sure there'd be people listening who would love to get involved with that and would love to listen.
Yeah, it's on the same. It's actually the same stream as the F&I Rap Chat podcast itself. You just need to look out for it. So they're one-off special kind of episodes with people that, from a business perspective, because obviously filmmaking is a business, so you need to know these things. And we're going to bring some really excellent people in to talk about their experiences growing platforms, software solutions. Just stuff that we tend to try not to think about because we all want to, just be creative and fun all the time. But the business needs to be addressed, So it's about that. It's like that itch,
Yeah, Ray, you were going to say something there.
Oh yeah, just the business side of things, and using whatever software and using online to do your work better. It's the other half of it. You can be very creative and be stuck, but if you had other skills as well, then you can really move forward.
Yeah, to be in a position where you keep the art going, you keep some sort of income coming. And I think we were going to talk a little bit about a mentorship and that bigger picture, but it's also just when someone's graduating, it's the balance between what do you do, how do you prioritize? Everyone needs to make a living, right? And frequently artists are expected to give their work for free. And that's something that there's a lot of, there is an apprenticeship model, which is kind of the old way that everyone kind of got involved in the industry. And so there was that sort of sense of, yes, I'm happy to do this and that. And then as you all grew together, you were able to, that collaboration became like a theater company or a film company, and it followed. And I think that that still is happening today. But I also wonder, I do worry sometimes about exploitation of creative arts, and creative artists. And I know that it's finding that balance. We kind of talked a little bit about that before, and I'd love to kind of drill into that from you guys' point of view. What is it? How do you know your value, but you also need that experience, right? You know that you've done this work in college, you've accomplished many things, but you're kind of at the precipice. So how do you find that balance of working for free, working for money, trying to make your art, whatever that is, or your work support some aspect of your life? So maybe your own personal stories, or people that might be useful in that example.
I'll take that quickly if I can.
Yeah, sure, of
I think
course.
you should do your homework. It harks back to what I was saying about discipline. I wouldn't work with anybody I didn't know anything about.
Right.
You should have a provisional kind of list of people who are really excellent, and you'd work with the most talented people for free all the time if that was the case. So know who's good, know who's doing some interesting work, who has a lot of integrity, who are good people. They're kind of unofficial lists of who are these people, so find out who they are. Google people's work, see who's good. If you're going to be working for a company who's making lots of money, you need to realize whether the opportunity or the name on the CV is more important than a few quid to get you by that week. It's not fair, but it is what it is. Everybody, everybody has to earn your stripes in one way or another. It's not ideal sometimes, and you know, schemes like Jobs Bridge in the past didn't help with that necessarily. But you know, find out who's good. If you are going to work for free, you know, personally, I would say, you know, I mean, if you're fairly experienced, you shouldn't be working for free. You know,
I agree. Yeah.
in any context. I know that's a luxury that a lot of people can't afford. But one thing that which has been proposed recently, was the creatives living wage of like 330
Yes.
quid was proposed in all this week. If that comes in, it will be a game changer.
It would totally be a game changer. It's a very exciting development, isn't it?
It's incredible. I mean, starting each month knowing you're going to pay your rent.
Yeah.
How freeing will that be?
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Paying your mortgage. You know, thank you very much. So, you know, little initiatives like that, it is going to get better. What I'd say as well is, you're no use to anybody if you're not looking after yourself. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a bag of anxiety, which we all are now. I know I am today. I mean, if you're not looking after yourself, or if you're not talking to people about how you're feeling day to day, you're not going to give the best version of yourself. To throw back to what I was talking about earlier, you need to try to prepare yourself to be of service to the project that you're working on, and also to give the best and be of service to yourself. Another brilliant initiative that we've been talking a lot about. We had a podcast about a year or so ago, looking at mindful. There's a initiative in the UK called the Benevolent Fund, which is there are pockets of cash to help people who are struggling financially, or having some problems with their mental health, or who work specifically in film, TV, theatre, and so on. So we had a podcast, myself and Paul, examining that. So we had Manny from the Film and Television Charity in the UK, Fran from Screen Skills, and we just discussed the idea of why this is necessary in Ireland. In no way do we feel as if we influence that happening, but obviously the pandemic has brought that to the forefront. But they set up a organization called mindingcreativeminds.ie. So I would say to anybody, especially now in the current climate, that if you're struggling in any capacity, hop on the website and have a little look.
But guess who's coming to visit with FYMMO on the 3rd of March? Emma from Minding Creative Minds, because I read about the initiative and was so excited. Yeah, no, because it's so necessary. It's vital, you know, and I'm delighted to see it happening. So they're going to be joining us, and see how, you know, this is what I love about Ireland. It's sort of everything kind of comes together, and it's synchronicity, and I'm getting very Californian, you know.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a wonderful thing when you start to see a bit of a clearing, you know, in the clouds, you know, in terms of common sense. Like, the government are very, very quick, even today, and congratulations to Element and Cartoon Saloon for their brilliant work, and they really do incredible international work.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they're very quick to use these news stories in the government in order to glad hand and do all and sell the Irish brand. But charity begins at home, you know, and it's a wonderful thing to see these things happening, and to raise everybody up and go, okay, there's a safety net for you now, or there's certainly more of a safety net than before. I know a lot of people that have struggled incredibly over the years because of the lack of these services. So hopefully, you know, a lot of people will benefit as a result of that. And
it's driven some of our greatest artists away from creating art, really, you know, because of the lack of financial stability. And you get to a certain point in your life where you really don't, you know, it's just you really need to look after your family. You need to look at, you know, there are more responsibilities, and I don't think it's fair that we preclude artists from that life, you know. So the fact that there is that they're going to be looking at ways of supporting artists. It's not like, I mean, I thought that the artist tax benefit was a wonderful initiative, but it was exclusion of actors, and that I actually wrote up my dissertation on. So, you know, that sense of the interpretive versus the creative actor or artist, and I think that that was a great thing of its time, even though they did, at the time, there was no cap on it. And then you had lots of people flocking here to take advantage of that in much higher pay brackets than the normal humans. But they put a cap on it, I think, for 250,000, or maybe it's gone even lower than that. But that, I felt that was a really interesting initiative that came out of Ireland. And I think that we have such innovative thinkers here within the arts, and business, and all the way through, so that, and we're a small enough country, and IDT is a small enough campus, that we can use that initiative and use that innovation to get things going, to make things happen. And I think that's important.
Yeah, it's a brilliant thing. And I'd say to anybody kind of coming out of, university in any capacity, especially in film and TV, join your unions. They're there for a reason. The guilds.
Yeah.
If you're a composer, you should be in the Screen Composers Guild of Ireland. If you're a director, you should be in the guilds. I mean, if you criticize these organizations for being weak in any capacity, it's because everybody is not there. People are not, the right people are not in these organizations, not joining the organizations to make them more powerful. So if you're not doing something to make change in this, in the environment in which you want to work in, that's why it's not working.
True words.
To the union office right now.
Yes, we have a union officer.
Exactly what I'm talking
about. Yeah, absolutely. So can we talk a little bit about mentors? We're kind of, our time is moving fast. I could talk to you guys all evening, actually. It would be a great pleasure. Your mentors, and I know that FNI is interested in developing more into the mentoring space, and that's something that FYMMO is always interested. I think that I know there's no right way to get a mentor, but I think that we do fall upon people and those special collaborations throughout our lives. College is one of those places that can happen, but it can also happen outside. And maybe you could talk about, we have many mentors, but I know that FNI is thinking about moving a little bit into that space. So maybe we could chat about that for the students, and kind of as they're in their liminal space of moving into real life, and even those that are post, IADT, that floundering sense that can really help you find like an anchor of someone or an organization or even yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on something at the moment, a couple of different initiatives, right? If you want to mention those.
Yeah, no, you take it there.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
it's silent type for
it's vitally important, I think, to have somebody to look up to and give you advice. We're working on an initiative to, number one, to make our team in terms of the podcasts and also our FNI team available to people so that they can talk to us anytime they want, one-on-one. So we're working on that. So keep an eye on our social networks for that. But we want to roll out some initiatives in the near future where people can be more, where film and TV professionals can be more available. I would say that Screen Skills already do mentoring. They have a mentoring initiative, which is brilliant, but it's usually based on the last 2 rounds of it have been to slightly more experienced, not entry level filmmakers. Keep an eye on that. You should very much be, kind of planning a route or a star map to what you want to do and how you want to get there. So we're going to be looking at, hopefully now, theoretically putting people on sets, different sets around the country through FNI, so that they can shadow people. I think shadowing is very important and very underutilized here. And even from an actor's perspective, I don't think actors don't really see a lot of other actors working on sets. So I'm not saying that they need to be riding their coattails around the set and following them and going, how would you say that line? But the idea of them being around other people for them to impart wisdom informally to them, to show them that they're not doing anything wrong, to just they're just earning their stripes. Ray's had some really interesting mentors over the years as well.
Yeah, I think it's hugely important in any aspect of your professional career and personal life as well, I guess. But yeah, if you have somebody like the old saying of standing on the shoulder of giants. You know, if you know somebody who has gone further than you in their career, knows more about whatever subject it is, why not bounce some ideas off them? You're going to be so much quicker getting to where you want to be based on their answers than trying to struggle to get there yourself. So mentorship is massive. I've been very lucky through the local enterprise office, Leo, and Enterprise Ireland as well, with my other businesses, to have some really good mentors on board. And it's great. I was only off a call there the other day before I was chatting to you, Paul, and it helps you navigate where you're going with your professional career, and you know, just clearly defines routes that you may not have thought of. So it's only a great thing if we can help people who are coming from college and basically bridge the gap from where they're working professionally to when they first come out of college, and say, okay, well, if you're there now and you want to get here, how about going this route here? Instead of them walking out and walking aimlessly down the street and trying to do free gigs and some paid gigs and that sort of thing, if they had a proper roadmap, so to speak, then they'd be able to get there faster. So yeah, it's very exciting. Really looking forward to the new mentor initiatives.
Yeah, and be a chancer, you know? Be a chancer. Don't be afraid to ask people advice. Reach out to people. Be that person who sends someone a Facebook message. The worst anybody can ever say is no about anything. You know, yeah, fair enough. People may, you know, you should know when to pull back also in that situation. But if you don't send that email, if you don't ask somebody, can you come in? And for example, I mean, you should be reaching out to the companies, the Samsung Films, the Parallels, the Treasure Entertainments, the Deadpans, whoever they are, and saying, I want to come in and give you my time, and I will sit there and say nothing and watch how you do business. Can you help me do that? You know, the same applies for directors as well. There's so many more people online available to you. And again, our Facebook group, don't be afraid to jump on and say, I want to work in this department. Is there anybody that can help me? Is there anybody who's free for a half an hour to talk to me about what I want to do? I guarantee you, even in that environment, somebody will help you out. People are much kinder than you realize. And the worst thing that anybody can ever say to you is no, you know? And that's not the worst thing at all that can happen to you.
No, it's not. That's very true. That's excellent advice. Do you have other advice for young filmmakers? People content.
People.
Sorry, Ray. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry. I think there must be a delay there. I was just making a point, just on the mentors.
Okay, go on. I think we got you.
Have I caught up?
Yes, pretty much. Kind of.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that people who are very successful in their own careers are very, very happy to have somebody ask them a question and for them to give advice. Generally, they're incredibly supportive. If they're successful, they're going to be very supportive of new people, as long as it's not like hundreds of you emailing them at the same time. But they are generally very supportive and very helpful.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just the last thing before the echo there.
Yeah, no. It's reaching out, I think, is important, and sometimes we don't have the confidence to do that, or students may feel, I don't want to bother somebody, but it's actually not a bother. I found Ireland is, it's amazing in that way. Everyone has time for each other, even in the worst of pandemics. You still can reach out and someone will answer the call, and I think that's really important. And FNI is there to do that as well. One of the things I found you guys on Spotify, but you said something about Headspace as the platform.
Head Stuff. They're like a general podcast network, and there's some other brilliant podcasts there as well, which may be to help people on their creative journeys. I would say that find out what the organizations are. For women working in film and TV, there's some brilliant organizations that can help you now, who can help you overcome any obstacles that you feel as if you have to overcome. It's the best time to be a creative person. So take advantage of the opportunities that you have. We also don't live in a country like America where there is no public funding for filmmaking. Utilize these opportunities and again, just put your best foot forward and be kind. Be really kind to people. Really kind, because it's the most important trait in your whole career. Because look, let's be honest. I mean, you know, if you're working under anybody, or if you're lucky enough to get mentorship with someone that you really respect and admire, the kindness that they're bestowing to you is what you're going to bestow onto other people in the future. So it's very important to try to be as humble as you can and listen. You know, there are often people that get opportunities and they give notes to people that they're being mentored, but you know that, you know your place in the industry and tread lightly. You know,
have some
and patiently. You know?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I think that's
It's
great.
a very small industry.
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Ireland's
It's
tiny, which is the lovely thing. But you do have to, you know, I think that's wonderful advice, to be kind, to be humble, to have gratitude for everything. Do you know what I mean? That you've been given, because we are fortunate here. We have an amazing community of people that we can rely on, which is great. I think we're coming up to time pretty soon. I don't know if there's questions in there.
Yeah, there's one or two. Lots of thanks for the sessions. Really great, really interesting to listen to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. For people wanting to get involved with FNI, how can they find you?
Yeah, you can get us. Our website is www.wearefni.com. All of our social networks are at the bottom of that. But you can also get us on Facebook. Just search for Film Network Ireland, or you can email us at info@wearefni.com, and one of the team will get back to you. We have no problem answering, and I really mean this, any questions you have. There's no such thing as a stupid question, you know, about anything you're working on, about gaining experience, and we'll try to point you in the right direction. The quickest route to market is actually using the group, because the people who are working in the industry are there. They see it, you know. So ask questions there. Of course we'll answer them, but I would rather have 15 opinions than just 3 or 4. You know, so utilize social media. It's an incredible time. There's lots of negatives and drawbacks with social media, but there's also some incredible positives, and focus on them. Ignore the kind of trolling culture and the group thread stuff, which is all negative, and you know, that bile that comes with that. Concentrate on the positives and take the good things from that. There are people hiding in plain sight all around you who are just waiting to help you and lift you up. Yeah. Use that. And you'll get where you want to go if you're supposed to be there. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I want to thank you guys for sharing a very creative life. Your authenticity is wonderful, I must say. I really enjoy just talking about things. There's so many more areas. Like, I'd love to talk about the future of Irish film, as far as from your vantage point. But we'll have to have you guys back on, I think. Is there anything else there, Rachel, that we need to drill into?
Just any advice that you'd have, like one piece of advice for people who are graduating this year or have just graduated.
One piece of advice, gentlemen. I'll start, and then maybe Ray, you can answer as well quickly, and we can finish up on that. Again, just the kindness thing, you know. It's not always beneficial to be the smartest person in the room, even if you are. So be wary of that. Humility will serve you much more than talent in your life, in your creative life. People want to work with nice people. And especially in a country like Ireland, they would rather work with someone who is moderately talented and lovely than someone who is incredibly talented. It's a very important thing to remember, I feel. So always remember that you know, humility, patience, and a sense of humor. Have a sense of humor. Life's hard enough. Have a sense of humor about stuff, and find your tribe and your mates, and you know, and be loyal to them, and they will to you, and you'll all rise together. No director, no production company is going to pick you out of obscurity. It's your team around you that's going to get you where you want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a very good point. It's other productions that you've worked on and other people that you met having a coffee, you know, during one of the shoots that has said, oh yeah, they're a really good person for this other gig, and there you go. It's all about connections. So yeah, that's very good advice, very profound advice there, Paul. I'd say something a bit more basic. I'd say when you're sending out your reels and stuff, and contacting companies, just be conscious of how you're composing them emails, and perhaps if you're targeting, instead of targeting every production company or every animation studio in the country with one email, where you even CC every other person in it, which I have seen in the past. Be conscious of how you compose your emails. Find the right people that you need to contact in the companies, and send them a bit more of a personalized message, as opposed to just blanket emailing everybody. If people see that, especially a big list of all the production companies, they'll tend to skip over it a lot quicker. So
You're absolutely right. That's a great, that is actually a really great lesson, because some people don't know what BCC is about, and they use CC instead.
Blank carbon copy, very important.
Yeah.
I know that's led to many heartbreaks, I would say, in that world. But you're right. Take the time to write a personal letter. Really find out about the person you're trying to reach, so that it's not just, well, here I am, but no, you've done something on your end too. And I know our graduates have worked extremely hard on their to get to this point in their lives, and they will continue to do so. But I think sometimes when you're first starting out, it's important that you do dot those I's and cross those T's, and always stand above it and kind of say, well, what I think if I got this, if I got this letter, I saw it was listed to get a bunch of other people on it as well. Would I feel special? Would I feel, probably not. So maybe I'm going to redraft that. And oh, look at that, I forgot to cross that T. Which doesn't happen anymore because we use computers, which is good. But that's that's a thing. But you guys have a couple things coming up, I think, that we wanted to just briefly share with the audience.
Yeah, we have. We had a series of online events with Screen Skills, as we mentioned, and some other ones as well. So what I'd say is go to YouTube and search for Film Network Ireland, and we've some interesting. We've a playlist of some one-on-one chats and some classes and stuff with the likes of like Declan Lowney, who directed Alan Partridge, Father Ted. I mean, you can't pay for that type of advice, Lenny Abramson stopped by for a chat as well just before Christmas, so it's worth checking that out. And the most famous face doesn't always give you the best advice, so check out some of the other ones as well, because there's some wonderful pearls of wisdom in there from like incredible workers in the industry as well. So we try and give a broad, diverse series of accounts and advice from people. So we pick our interviewees and our team very, very carefully. So there's that. And we also have for sound people, sound design. Sound design is probably one of the most important departments, which is can be often overlooked in the kind of glitzy red carpet world of filmmaking. So we're working on our next class with Screen Skills with Steve Fannigan. Steve Fannigan is Lenny Abramson's sound designer, and he's going to be joining us on the 11th of February at 7 p.m. And this will be about just looking at the importance of sound design in film. You can get away with a bad image, but bad sound you'll be absolutely crucified for.
Yeah.
So, it's not for sound designers. It is for sound designers primarily, but it's for everybody to understand how the engine works.
Yeah.
In general terms. If you know a little bit about every department, you'll be a better filmmaker and a nicer person.
Yeah.
So
because you develop empathy, right? Sorry, you just develop empathy. The minute that you have to, kind of see what this is, all of a sudden you're seeing things from another perspective, and that creates empathy. And to be honest with you, I think it's one of the things the world can use more of at the moment.
Yeah.
But I've certainly felt that from you guys tonight. Ray, final words to you, and then I'll sign off.
Yeah, well, as Paul was saying, a couple of things that we have coming up.
Uh-oh, he's down the vortex. No! Oh no! They've called him back.
We're also looking at which will be incredibly exciting as well. So that'll be an online
This is the
You're selling that
expert.
really well, I can see as well. You're doing so well.
I don't have anything valuable to say.
You do, mate.
You absolutely do.
Yeah,
So
I
there's
was just going to say,
yeah.
as well as the event. The expo that we're looking at the minute. So that will be exciting if we can pull that together this year. I think it would be fantastic to run an online expo and get a lot of people around the country networking and hopefully globally networking as well. So that's it's a big task, but it's something that we're looking forward to put together. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. In general, just check out the Facebook group, listen to the podcast, and check out the events that we're running in the future.
Ask questions. Email us, ask questions of other people. There's no such thing as a bad question. And just in general terms, people are willing to help you. They really are. So utilize that. You know.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And please keep FYMMO. Keep us abreast of what's going on, because I'd love to be part of passing on that information, and we wish you just continued success. And I really would love to see you guys again in the near future. If we can do that, that'd be fantastic. And for us here, we have a couple other things that are coming up. Next week, Dawn O'Connor is going to be here and talk about paid graduate programs that are available particularly for our third-year cohort, and some for the fourth year. I think she's bringing in someone who's actually doing one of those, one of our students, and also someone from one of the organizations that runs those. So that'll be a great thing. And then we have, as mentioned during this, we have Minding Creative Minds are coming in on the 3rd of March. In addition, we've also got a big fun love quiz that the SU is running, I think on the 17th of this month, just after Valentine's Day and Galentine's Day, for those of you who watch Parks and Rec. And then I also need to mention on the 16th of March, please mark the date in your calendar. We are having a virtual careers fair at IDT. There's actually a questionnaire that's going out right now that you guys should fill out, because you get to decide, like, if there's people you want to see there, certain companies, certain businesses, you can have your say in that. And FYMMO and Dawn is actually running this through the Careers Office Student Services, and we're supporting that in every way we can, because it's a great opportunity for you guys to get to meet and network with loads of different employers, potential employers, and potential mentors as well. So thank you all very much, gentlemen. Pleasure. Live warm, creative life. Yeah, really, thank you so much for your wisdom, Rachel. And it just leaves me to thank Caroline Healy, who is our behind-the-scenes ICT guru, and to the Forum for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning, who's funded us, and obviously to IDT and to all people that are working together to get through what has been challenging, but I hope really interesting things have happened as a result of those challenges. So stay safe, be well, and we will see you next week on Wednesday. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say thanks. Bye.